to your competitors and so on. So that's basically it. Okay, our numbers are popping up there slightly. If there's any new viewers, if you'd like to interact with me, all you've got to do is just sign up with darpatv.com. Get yourself a username, and if you'd like to come on air live with me, you can do that in two ways. You can use audio and microphone, or if you're not too shy, you can use your webcam. Once you have your username, you see a pair of lips, or you see it's the lips. Click on the lips and I'll get an on-air request here. You'll also see a button with a question mark. Click on that and type in your question, and again that will come up onto my virtual control panel. It's interesting that Noonan was talking today, and I'm going to read that article. Now I have two articles here, and I got a telling off in an email from an individual. He said to Michael, I sent you these sometime in December of last year, and you still haven't read them for me. Please will you do it? Now I explained on Tuesday that sometimes, I go off on a rant when I should be showing these videos or reading these articles, and then I forget about them and I move on to something else. Just a bit of an airhead, folks, sorry. And I do promise I will read them, and then I'll play the videos. Okay, I think that's everything there. And if there's people there that have a username, click on give us the thumbs up there, will you? And we build up our fans. We had quite a few before the technology was changed. We were over on Shuvio and they upgraded. Fantastic service now, and now it's DARPA TV, but our fan numbers didn't follow that. So if you'd like to be a fan of the show, you don't have to be a fan of me obviously, but if you enjoy the show and you like what we talk about, just click on that, will you? Kind of gives me a bit of encouragement. Some people are actually listening to what I have to say. But anyway, don't worry folks, not vodka and coke, mind you. I wouldn't mind if it was. Okay, now these are two articles. Let me see, where are we at? 52. Our next ad now isn't until 20 past, so I'm just going to... Actually, I'll read that one regarding Noonan today for you. Okay, this is by Fionnuala Sheen and Brendan Keenan and Louise Hogan. Got to take three people to write a short article, but there you go. Friday, January 20, 2012, Finance Minister Michael Noonan faces the wrath of thousands of families blighted by emigration after claiming that young people were leaving for lifestyle reasons. In an extraordinary claim, he denied that the exodus of tens of thousands of families, tens of thousands of people was purely down to our economy and unemployment levels. Instead, he asserted that some people merely wanted to see another part of the world. My God, he sounds like Fianna Fáil and the rest of the cronies in 1983 when we had when we had a huge turn down in our economy and our recession at that time. But anyway, his comments sparked fury among families whose loved ones had to leave to find work or face life here on the dole. Mr. Noonan also appeared to accept that immigration was here to stay, after saying that the government should ensure that young people get the best education so they can get a good job when they emigrate. This is absolutely outrageous, folks. What's going on here? We educate our children and then we throw them on the airplane and off you go, lads. Exactly the same as in 1983 when Haughey was telling the young people of this country, go on, go off, there's nothing here for you, and go off and make a life for yourself somewhere else. And here we are in 2012 and we have Noonan basically saying exactly the same thing. The minister's gaffe came after Taoiseach Eamon Gilmore, another traitor might I add, called on critics of the government's policy to pull on the green jersey, a phase infamously linked with covering up losses in Anglo-Irish Bank. Wonderful stuff. At the last year's Social Protection Minister, Joan Burton claimed that going on the dole was a lifestyle choice. The Irish Independent recently revealed that about 70,000 people, mostly under 20s, emigrated last year to the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the USA and Germany. A recent decline in the live register was blamed on emigration levels, and another 40,000 Irish citizens are expected to emigrate in 2012. Now, the pundits were telling us quite recently that the number they expected that to be was 70,000. It was 40,000 last year in 2011, and it was estimated that up to 70,000 would leave this year. So obviously they're starting to play down the numbers there. Mr. Noonan's insensitive comments struck a raw nerve with families who just weeks ago waved emigrants off to foreign climes following Christmas reunions. The minister claimed last night that he was being quoted out of context, and he had pointed out that most emigration was forced. The Limerick TD also said that of his 5 adult children, 3 of them are living and working abroad. I don't think any of the 3 can be described as an emigrant, he said. It was a free choice of lifestyle and what they wanted to do with their lives, and there are a lot of families like that. But his implication that many young people had a choice about whether to stay or to leave sparked most anger. Mr. Noonan said there are always young people coming and going from Ireland, and some of them are emigrants in the traditional sense. Others simply want to get off the island for a while. You know, a lot of the people who go to Australia, it's not being driven by unemployment at home, it's driven by a desire to see another part of the world and live there. However, Fianna Fáil job spokesman Willie O'Dea said Mr. Noonan should immediately apologise for his remarks. Oh man, the hypocrisy of Fianna Fáil actually turns my stomach. You know, Willie O'Dea, demanding that Noonan apologise. Willie, your own party is just as responsible, and we're happy to get rid of our youngsters in 1983. Anyway, he said, of course, there are many young people who, after college, travel abroad, but there is an undeniable link between the high rate of unemployment and the number of people seeking work abroad. Mr. Noonan said, giving a good education would ensure emigrants get professional jobs. My God. And they're saying we haven't enough people here in the professions, and yet they educate them and tell them, off you go boys elsewhere. It's not about putting on the green jersey or taking off the green jerseys. It's just that life in modern Ireland, and they have to do their best, he said. I hope they are successful abroad. What we have to make sure is our young people have the best possible education so that when they go, they are employed as young professionals in their country of destination. So there you go, folks. The same old mentality exists here in 2012 as it did in 1983. Nothing has changed. But they're educating our own to go off and find professional jobs, and yet the floodgates are open to immigrants coming into the country, uneducated, not professionals, my friends, basically unskilled workers. So, one can see the double standards, one can see the hypocrisy of it all, and one should be able to understand why more and more Irish people are getting angry and frustrated at the fact that so many of our own are emigrating, and yet we are allowing mass immigration into the country. So there you go. That's the Ireland we live in at the moment, and have done actually for quite some time. Okay, I'm going to light up. Oh yeah, there was another thing I wanted to mention. Listen to me, folks. I get calls from people that say, we support the ERM, but would you please tone down the rhetoric? Would you please, put a better spin on what you're saying? You're too outspoken. A lot of people don't like that. Sod off, okay? That's all I can say to you. Sod off. We're not interested in you. We're not going to water down our messages for anyone, plain and simple. And anyone that knows us for the last year and a half knows that that's the way we are. So if you're interested in joining the Democratic Right Movement, don't be coming to me or Sean or anyone else in the movement and telling us to tone down the rhetoric, or maybe you could do it better, or you could say it this way and say it all the rest of the way. We're actually not going to listen to you, and in fact I'd rather you didn't contact us, because what you want us to do, be like the sleazy politicians that we have now, and chopping and changing depending on what's the fashionable thing or the PC thing in Irish society, and we must all go along with that. Sorry folks, don't bother contacting me. If you want to join the Democratic Right Movement, we're a rough diamond, but we're deliberately a rough diamond because Ireland needs a rough diamond, not something smooth and attractive and looks good and all the rest of it. No, sorry, we're an Irish national revolutionary movement. We're not some fancy political party. So don't dare come to me or Sean and say you need to do this or you need to do that. Sorry folks. Anyway, to other people that are interested, I came out quite strongly quite recently in relation to people join the movement and telling me all sorts of things, and they're tough and they go out and do this and that. Nothing illegal, but they come out on the streets and face their enemies and all the rest of it, and then they turn around and they chicken out. So don't bother approaching us either, you know what I mean? Either you're man enough to go out and, go out on the streets and protest, but don't be telling us then, look, it might be a bit dodgy, it might be a bit dangerous, or, we never know who's going to turn up and all the rest of it. We need hardcore soldiers. That's what we want, boys, hardcore soldiers. Now, if you're young and inexperienced, naturally we were going to take you under our wing and train you and teach you and look after you. Okay, but I get older people telling me, and they tell me they've past experience at demos and being attacked and all the rest of them. Then when it comes to the crunch, they chicken out, folks. They chicken out. You're no good to us. You're no good to us. So if you come to me and you tell me, you're an activist, individuals, and then you can come out with us. But there's another side to our coin as well. There's many people who do support us, and they have said to me, Michael, and to Sean, we're not able for the activist stuff. We hold a position in a particular company or whatever, and they just can't come out in the open, and that's fine. They're just as important to us as are the activists who come out on the streets with us. So people like that are more than welcome, and I will not have any expectations of you to ever even come public or ever to come out on any of the demos. But just make that clear to Sean and myself that you're not an activist, but you can help us in other ways, and that's great. If you approach me as an activist, particularly if you tell me your experience and then you start caring and breaking or, backing off and all the rest of it, don't bother getting in touch with me, okay? I'd rather have quality over quantity. Okay. Right, I had no intention of going on there for so long. I'm going to light up my cigarette. I know this drives one or two individuals. There it goes on the floor. I know two individuals that are always saying to me, let's stop bleeding smoking on the show, so I'm doing this just to annoy them. They are, lads. Okay, these are the two articles I swore that I'd do last year, 2011, and I'll have to do them. Okay, this is an interesting one. It's John Leo bowling with our own. Robert Putnam's sobering new diversity research scares its author. 27th of June. Harvard political scientist Robert Putnam, author of Bowling Alone, is very nervous about releasing his new research, and understandably so. His 5-year study shows that immigration and ethnic diversity have a devastating short and medium term influence on the social capital fabric of associations, trust and neighbourliness that create and sustain communities. He fears that his work on the surprisingly negative effects of diversity will become part of the immigration debate, even though he finds that in the long run people do forge new communities and new ties. Now we all know that's not true. All you have to do is look across to the UK and see what was going on there and the recent riots and everything else. But anyway, these guys have to put their little spin on it. And okay, Putnam's study reveals that immigration and diversity not only reduce social capital between ethnic groups, but also within the groups themselves. Trust, even for members of one's own race, is lower. Altruism and community cooperation rarer, friendships fewer. The problem isn't ethnic conflict or troubled racial relations, but withdrawal and isolation. Putnam writes, quote, "In colloquial language, people living in ethnically diverse settings appear to hunker down, that is, to pull in like a turtle," unquote. In the 41 sites Putnam studied in the US, he found that the more diverse the neighborhood, the less residents trust neighbors. This proved true in communities large and small, from big cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, and Boston to tiny Yakima, Washington. I'm not quite sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's Yakima. That's in rural South Dakota and the mountains of West Virginia. In diverse San Francisco and Los Angeles, about 30% of people say they trust neighbors a lot. In ethnically homogeneous communities in Dakota, the figure is 70% to 80%. Diversity does not produce bad race relations. Putnam says, rather, people in diverse communities tend to withdraw even from close friends, to expect the worst from their community and its leaders, to volunteer less, give less to charity and work on community projects less often, to register to vote less, to agitate for social reform more, but have less faith that they can actually make a difference, and to huddle unhappily in front of the television. Putnam adds a crushing footnote: his findings may underestimate the real effect of diversity on social withdrawal. Neither age nor disparities of wealth explain this result. Americans raised in the 1970s, he writes, seem fully as unnerved by diversity as those raised in the 1920s. And the hunkering down occurred no matter whether the communities were relatively egalitarian or showed great differences in personal income. Even when communities are equally poor or rich, equally safe or crime-ridden, diversity correlates with less trust of neighbours, lower confidence in local politicians and news media, less charitable giving and volunteering, fewer close friends and less happiness. Putnam has long been aware that his findings could have a big effect on the immigration debate. Last October, he told the Financial Times that he had delayed publishing his research until he could develop proposals to compensate for the negative effects of diversity. How he reckons he's going to go about that is beyond me, but anyway, he said, would have been irresponsible to publish without that, a quote that should raise eyebrows, which it is here. Academics aren't supposed to withhold negative data until they can suggest antidotes to their findings, nor has Putnam made details of his study available for examination by peers and the public. So far, he has published only an initial summary of his findings from a speech he gave after winning an award in Sweden in the June issue of the Scandinavian Political Studies. His office said Putnam is in Britain working on a religion project at the University of Manchester and is currently too busy to grant an interview. How convenient. Putnam's study does make two positive points. In the long run, increased immigration and diversity are inevitable and desirable, and successful immigrant societies dampen the negative effects of diversity. By constructing new identities, social psychologists have long favoured the optimistic hypothesis that contact between different ethnic and racial groups increased tolerance and social solidarity. For instance, white soldiers assigned to units with black soldiers after World War II were more relaxed about desegregation of the army than were soldiers in all white units. But Putnam acknowledges that most empirical studies do not support the contact hypothesis. In general, they find that the more people are brought into contact with those of another race or ethnicity, the more they stick to their own, and the less they trust others. Putnam writes, across local areas in the United States, Australia, Sweden, Canada and Britain, greater ethnic diversity is associated with lower social trust and, at least in some cases, lower investment in public goods. Though Putnam is wary of what right-wing politicians might do with his findings, the data might give pause to those on the left and in the centre as well. If he's right, heavy immigration will inflict social deterioration for decades to come, harming immigrants as well as the native-born. Putnam is hopeful that eventually America will forge a new solidarity based on a new, broader sense of we. Where did these guys come up with this nonsense? Of we, a sense of we. The problem is how to do that in an era of multiculturalism and disdain for assimilation. The guy is a typical Marxist, they're absolutely convinced that they can create this utopia where all the working classes will unite and, everything's going to be okay and, 50 different nationalities living in one particular country will all get along great and have a great time together and all the rest of it. And even the Irish, in the early days that used to go to the States, they stuck to themselves. Why would they have all these Irish bars and Irish clubs and all the rest of it? They kind of hunkered down and stuck among themselves. Same with the Irish community in the UK, in the 60s and so on. They basically isolated themselves from general English society. They went to all these Irish clubs and all the rest of it. Jesus, when I travelled the world, the last place I wanted to go was to an Irish pub or an Irish club, for Christ's sake. It's away from them I wanted to get. Not fucking go over to Holland or somewhere to sit in pubs with other Irish people. Jesus, I'd had enough of it over here. Okay, let me see. The other article's a bit long, lads, so I'm gonna let me say 13, 14, 15. I have to watch the time for the ads, because what happens is if there's a video playing and the ad comes up, it knocks it off and I have to actually start the video again. Let me see how long this one will go on. 21, 13, 14, 15, that's about 7 minutes. Actually, what I'll do is I'll give you a bit of music and I'll read a bit of that article, okay? Let me see what I'll give you. Okay, Final War. Vision in my mind. Just waiting for it to come up, folks.
I have a vision in my mind, a dream of meeting the test of time. In this dream I walk the path, I succeed, I finish the task. I open up the gates to a brand new world. Once again the flag is not full, white people walk hand in hand. Once again we rule this land, no more lies about the past. The truth is now exposed at last. White children now can run free, knowing the truth of the history. One people, one nation, one leader, one band after all white men. All united for one cause, we're all united to win. And if we wanna make this dream become reality, now the time has been said before, let's forge our victory. Again, I open up the gates to a brand new world. Once again the flag is not full, white people walk hand in hand. Once again we rule this land,
Okay, that was quite short. Let me see. No, okay. Oh, okay, here we go. There's a couple of remarks up here. You just love the attention, don't you, Selena? Okay. Not quite sure who Selena is anyway. Pillhead is fat boy around. Oh, this is from one of the scumbags. I want to on your face, Selena, you slut. Okay, folks, I want you to understand that they are Marxists, left-wingers here in Ireland, and I'm reading them so you can see the type of disgusting mentality that they have. And these people are constantly talking about, you know, fighting for this right and fighting for that right, and we'll do this and we'll do that for you, photos and blah blah blah. And this is the type of mentality. Are these the kind of people you want to represent you in the Dáil? Now we all know they're all gobshites in the Dáil anyway, but is this the type of scum you want representing you? Okay. Can we have the Wexford address quieter out there?